all issues are resolved. Let's go ahead and move into our Tier 1 header match. Korean Dota 2 League, this is match 4, set 1. 5NQ, BirdGang, Instant Invoker first ban, and BirdGang getting rid of the Ember Spirit, as well as Nyx Assassin. We did see MVP show just how strong the Ember Spirit can be. And the game played a few days ago. And Invoker, just a hero that MP does enjoy using. It looks like Gandhi is the stand-in for BirdGang over the usual Febby. BirdGang, we have seen them pick Gyrocopter, and the Korean teams, like I mentioned over the first match, they pretty much just ban heroes that the other team enjoys playing, and that's about it. The Ember Spirit really is the only, like, kind of, we don't want to face this hero, maybe we're not confident against it kind of thing. He's really powerful in the current meta. And Mirana is the first pick. Korean teams, this is the third time Mirana has been first picked in the KDL. The 5NQ thinking very hard. Okay, there we go. The first pickup, Shadow Demon, as well as Doom. All they need is Shadow Fiend, and they'll have all three, I guess, Underlords from Hell, all the lore heroes. But cool. Doom getting a lot of play in the Korean scene, and Shadow Demon really being a favored support as well. I love Shadow Demon. Definitely a good hero. There's MP. Good on the Dragon Knight as well as Invoker, but very versatile according to Tenbird. And here's FX, one of the support players from 5NQ. 5NQO, where's QO? That's the question. It looks like Cynical is doing the drafting for 5NQ, at least for the time being. And the next grab is the Chen for BirdGang. Korean players really like to utilize a lot of these high skill cap heroes. You know, the Chen requires lots of multitasking. It's probably just because they all played Brood War when they were kids. Pretty sure about that one. The next round of bans, getting rid of support, and on BirdGang's end, they're just removing the Storm Spirit. So anticipating that it won't be a mid-Doom. We've seen him in a lot of different places. Zephyr does like to put the Doom mid. I know another one of the teams, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they decided to actually, I believe it was the Chinese team, FW, they actually put Doom in the offlane with Rubik's support. And the next brand, getting rid of the Enchantress. So that's kind of telegraphing that BirdGang expects this Doom to kind of end up in the offlane. That's what I would imagine based on their bans. Maybe they think he's in the mid lane and they anticipated a Storm Spirit safe lane, or solo versus solo offlane. A lot of different options still available. The drafts don't telegraph too much. Even the Mirana doesn't have to be in that standard tri-lane that we see her most of the time, and with the Chen pick, I actually wouldn't be surprised if a BirdGang really switches it up and does something quite different. 5 and Q. They get the Slark. Actually very surprised that he managed to sneak through the cracks that make it all the way to a third pick. An instant counter pick from BirdGang, getting the Sand King. Another popular support after the Sandstorm buff. He's just, I have to say, a really nice support to have nowadays. Gotta love the Sand King. Decree to the only king that matters. Not the Wraith King, but the Sand King. Also notable that 5 and Q removed the Bat Rider from play, sticking the Banhammer on that hero. Especially after how we saw Eye of the Tiger use it. Ooh, and 5 and Q, another Ancient Apparition pick. We'll see if it does better against the Chen this game over last. But overall, the Ancient Apparition, it was annoying, I felt, for Eye of the Tiger. But at the end of the day, it didn't make a huge difference. There's the Nature Private pickup from BirdGang. With BirdGang looking like they're going to have a very greedy lineup. But I want to know what the last pick for them is. They probably are going to pick up a mid hero. But, I mean, technically, you could see almost every one of BirdGang's heroes in the middle lane. At least at some point or another in the DOTA2 metagame. I am a little bit more of a fan of 5 and Q's lineup, though. That Doom can do very well at just completely shutting down that Chen. Removing Hand of God from the equation in those team fights. There's Tenbird, captain of BirdGang, formerly Startail. And Cynical taking up the reins for 5 and Q as we have a strange absence of QO. But then again, Febi also mysteriously missing from BirdGang's lineup. And there's the last pick from 5 and Q. It's going to be the Darkseer. So you know what? This is going to be either a safe lane Doom or Slark. And BirdGang deciding to go with the Tinker. This actually gives BirdGang a pretty solid pushing lineup and very hard to counter push lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, the heroes are picked. The bans are banned out, removed from the match. One final pan of both teams before we move into the game. This is the Nexon. No, it's not the Nexon Sponsorship League. It's the Korean Dota 2 League. Still sponsored by Nexon, however. Don't forget that. It's going to be BirdGang versus their opponents, 5 and Q, at best of 3. My name is Whiplash, broadcasting from Seoul, Korea, live at the Nexon studio. Let's go ahead and jump into the match. Okay, as we move into the game, we see an aggressive smoke from 5 and Q. Reminiscent of the opening match between Eye of the Tiger and MVP, where MVP scored a first blood on their opposition. Yeah, the chilling touch ability really can be useful, but the smoke already gone. And the Treant spots it, so smoke not being too useful. The Ancient Apparition actually needs to be very careful. Oh, wow, and I can't believe the Korean camera missed that, because I saw the Ancient Apparition's health go down. I'm like, okay, what's he doing? Why is he over there? And, oh, he's dead. So, Cynical, I'm not sure what he's up to, but We see another first blood being given up very early on. That one somewhat uneventful. Just he kind of walked into the enemy team and died. And the camera caught him at the end. Cynical seems okay with it as he will be handling the middle lane for the time being. KSH on the Doombringer in the jungle. Darkseer in the off lane. If this Ancient Apparition is mid, I would imagine that he tries the rush for that Agnum Scepter as soon as possible. I saw that last hit just not work out that well. All right, 10-bird handling the Sand King versus Ranto on 5 and Q. I believe that is QO's current replacement for the time being, wherever he may be. Well, QO, wherever you are, get well soon. I do wonder, though, if the Doom will rotate towards the middle lane and kind of take over that at some point later on. All right. Becoming aggressive, turning this into a dual lane for the time being. Doom already picking up his second level. Oh, wow. Looks like Darkseer ended up dying. Sorry, guys, I do not control the camera work, so you cannot yell at me. You can only yell at the Korean broadcasters if a kill is missed. But generally, they're really good about them. They actually almost never miss kills, so this is very uncharacteristic. Irregardless, we do have a smoke gank from BirdGang moving towards the middle. KSH. The problem with this gank, though, is, I mean, we're going to have to see him really overcommit, and already, yeah, that smoke is just accomplishing nothing. So Ancient Apparition just kind of roaming around, spotting the regeneration rune, and Gandhi is going to pick up the healing rune. I suppose that's fitting considering his name. Gandhi, a very peaceful person. Regeneration rune, I guess a peaceful item. I also like this, a little bit of warding to prevent the creep stacking from here. And the counter warding as well. The Tinker later on in levels, they can stack these creep camps and just use March of the Machines to get a lot of experience and farm. Especially on the Radiant side, it's a lot easier for it to happen on the Dire. And here's our first shot of Segun on the Slark. Generally does handle the carry role for 5 and Q. But yeah, 5 and Q, they're just all over the place. Pretty much abandoning the bottom lane as well. They're saying, you know what, we're gonna go top, middle, jungle, and everyone's just kind of gonna loop around consistently. All right, Darkseer's back in the bottom though, so it's all good. Maybe you just wanted to get a little bit of extra farm. But Sky's got to be happy with the current situation. All right, there we go. Marana is going to get a lot of free farm. Yeah, an MP going to most likely pull that creep camp. It's stacking it up. Nothing too crazy to see there. Oh, the haste rune in the top part of the river does get picked up by the Doom. I don't think we're going to see him go for some type of dive or gank. Still only level 4. If he had his Doom, I could totally see that. He's still lacking the ultimate. A lot of really level-dependent heroes, I feel, on both ends. I mean, you want your Ancient Apparition ultimate, you want the Doom ultimate. Slark as well, very useful once he gets his ultimate online. And then you look at BirdGang. Pretty much every one of their heroes, their ultimate's quite useful early on. Maybe a little bit less so for the Nature's Prophet and Tinker, but for the first 3, certainly can't deny. And wow, 5 and Q really do not want this creep stack to continue. as they do place another ward near the camp. As far as last hits go, the Doom is actually slightly ahead of the Tinker, but still pretty even. I mean, not a huge difference on either end. Slark and Mirana almost evenly matched. Both of them getting pretty darn easy lanes. And MP walking around a little bit. He'll return to his lane shortly. Overall, I'd say beyond the first 2 kills, pretty lax game. Forcing a fortification from 5 and Q. BirdGang ready to do a bit of pushing. There's the haste rune available, currently being used on the Doom. There's 3 bottom though. There's the Sand King joined with the Mirana, and Chen not far behind. Gets the haste rune though. I would imagine, though, things are certainly going to heat up as soon as we see multiple level 6s get online for both teams. Mirana already has her Hand of Midas, so that's pretty nice to have. Good timing on the hand. And Ranto as well. It gets the Soul Ring, but it won't keep this push alive, or won't prevent this push from happening. That's going to be a dead tier 1 tower. And down it goes. 5 and Q don't have enough pushing power on the top to retaliate with a tier 1 tower kill of their own, though. So for the time being, Slark and Mirana neck to neck in last hits. Doom slightly ahead of the Tinker, but he can catch up later on with a little bit of Ancient Creep stacking, which I'm sure he would like to do more of, but 5 and Q having none of that. And 10 Bird's actually got to be careful. Ancient Apparition, I would imagine he's level 6 or pretty close. Sorry, I can't check. Once again, my computer is a slave to the Korean observer, so I know what he knows and only that. And Doom has level 7. His ultimate's ready. He's invisible. This would actually be a really good time to move in. Maybe Seigun could be a potential target. The Salve helping out. But the tower, down it goes. Last hit for the Slark. I'm sure he's happy about that. And yeah, he's saving up for a Midas as well. Almost 2k gold in his coffers. And why not? He's been farming pretty damn well. 48 last hits. Just shy over 8 minutes into the game. Uh-oh, an MP in a bit of trouble. Gets the stomp after the Doom. KSH now. Yeah, and he gets it. One more hit, but there's reinforcements. 10 Bird, JYU going to work on KSH. That Doom is tanky, and he will be able to survive. Actually going to turn it around. 10 Bird ends up falling, but KSH may pay with his life. Down he goes. So Mirana getting the kill. Nice moves from Sky. Ranto as well. Jump into the pit. Sky, though, looking to be a little bit overeager. That was really funny, I have to say. The jump into the trees looked cool, but it was just simply overextension and unneeded. When all is said and done, BirdGang does lead 4-3. Important deaths on both sides. Actually, I take that back on the Hand of Midas. Slark is moving into a very fast Shadow Blade. He had almost 2,000 gold saved up, so... I mean, the Hand of Midas on a free farming position 1, I can't ever say no to that. I love me Midas, especially on Slark, but if he wants to go for the Shadow Blade, then I'd like to see him really get aggressive in the mid-game with that item. Now, Shadow Blade, pretty much, unless there's detection around, he automatically has his guaranteed ultimate. So that can be very nice, and the extra damage as well as movement speed, can't complain about it as well. Both very useful stats for the Slark. All right, well, FX has a smoke available. I'm surprised we haven't seen a little bit more efficient smoke ganking from the Chen. He has a buckler. Working into that early mech. Still no level 6. He's certainly hunting for that. And Slark is joined by a smoked up Doom and Shadow Demon. But none of BirdGang anywhere near them in the top. And, oh, there we go. Some action finally. JYU gets doomed, and, yeah, smack to the face. Easy death. That's gotta hurt. Not much you could have done about that. Once you get doomed, you're in instant panic mode. Mirana, though, that Hand of Midas really pushing her ahead of the Slark in terms of net worth. That's an interesting news statistic I've seen there. I believe it's something about map range. BirdGang not doing too well on the top. Middle lane, 5 and Q, and bottom also 5 and Q. So basically, they're trying to say that 5 and Q has map control. All right, cool. Boots of Travel picked up for the Tinker. That's going to be a game changer, but MP, he gets picked off. Ultimate to the face. I gotta say, 5 and Q have a very scary team fight lineup. But the Doom being able to just instantly shut down one of the heroes, and the rest of their supports being very deadly as well. Slark and Doom are generally better solo heroes, but the rest of their team is just so darn good in these team fights that BirdGang, even if they get off like a Hand of God and Tenbird manages to get a good epicenter, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough damage to really take out the enemy team. I would imagine they focus more on doing some split pushing throughout the game with that Tinker, with the Nature's Prophet, because their actual in-game, or their 5v5 man fights, I don't really see them going too terribly well for BirdGang. I believe Chen is very close to the mech, or it may actually be heading his way. Tinker slowly building into the Force Staff from the look of things. And a Doombringer goes ahead and grabs up his mechanism. Cynical slowly working towards that Ultimate Scepter. Still a ways away. About 3,000 gold required. So yeah, Slark, he has a Shadow Blade. I just really haven't seen too much from him. I mean, there was that gank in the middle, but beyond that, nothing too crazy. And Sand King gets the Blink Dagger. Very important pickup. Also something to note, a lot of Sand Kings have completely foregone getting Mana Boots first, and they're just rushing into that Blink Dagger. It's becoming very common nowadays. In fact, I'd say if they got the Mana Boots first, that's a little bit weird. All right, well, 5 and Q. They're pretty much grouped up in the middle lane. The same can be said for BirdGang. Mirana picking up the Illusion Rune. Or actually, that's a Haste Rune, excuse me. 5 and Q just doing a little bit of dewarding. I love how they're using the second ability from the Ancient Apparition to kind of just get vision on the high ground and take out those wards. All right, Ultimate activated from the Mirana. She has the Haste Rune, but it's about to be over. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of 5 and Q just retreat. nice. That's going to be a lot of gold for both Set1 and the Darkseer. What is this, man? It almost feels like mid-wars. There's been like 2-3 heroes in the mid lane for the past 5 minutes or so, and they absolutely refuse to leave. All right, well, the Nature's Prophet does have a Hand of Midas, so he'll get to go ahead and play that catch-up game. Spoiler alert, the Nature's Prophet almost always catches up, no matter how far behind they are in the game. I'm curious to see what Sky is going to build into. He has, okay, Perseverance, but hold that thought. Sky in a lot of trouble, throwing out an arrow. Actually ends up hitting. FX being very careful, keeping his ally safe in the Shadow Realm. But BirdGang are going to just say, all right, time to rat it up. Let's go ahead, push this mid tower in. The fortification is enabled, but I think that's actually just wasted. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this tower is going to BirdGang. There is nothing that 5q can do about it. Okay, Darkseer picks up his Blink Dagger as well, adding some mobility and initiation power to 5q. And Tinker is teleporting to the bot lane. I imagine he's going to be able to deny that tower. So nice reactions from BirdGang. I do feel like BirdGang, they're gelling a little bit more. Okay, forward blink into the Burrow Strike. KSH, though, follows it up with a Doom. Sky gets his arrow. Is there enough DPS to pick him off? Down he goes. Tenbird gets sent home. So he will heal safe and sound. I mean, like, who do you doom? You have the Chen available. You have the Tinker. You have I guess maybe Sand King. He's probably already going to get off his spells, though, by the time you could get a Doom on him. Slark still doing a whole lot of nothing. I mean, really, I would have liked to see a Hand of Midas on him in this match. Just by how passive he's been playing and how farm-centric his play has been. He could have almost gotten a Shadow Blade at this point after the Hand of Midas. Gold difference essentially even between both teams. Slark spotting the ward, getting rid of that. And he'll pick up the haste rune. Experience also relatively even between both teams. Really, I mean, it's 5-5 between BirdGang and 5q. 18.5 minutes into the match. Relatively even game. It's going to come down to the split pushing, the team fights. Maybe a pickoff or two can help. Mana Boots now on the Darkseer. KSH and FX. They're smoked up, looking for blood. A really good combination for just picking off single targets. NP quickly blinking, and he is going to trudge home, but Sand King, it's good on Set1, and that's Slark. Will he end up falling? Ooh, nice jump. Is it enough? The net, very nice net, able to stop the teleport, and down goes Set1. At the same time, 5q also manages to get the bottom tower. I guess somewhat even trade. A lot of BirdGang's members were around for that kill and assist experience / gold. Doombringer now picking up his Mana Boots. And BirdGang looking at the last tower. Last tier 1 tower, that is. There's a lot of ward coverage in the center of the map, but not really too much in the top. Okay, now we have Gandhi. He gets hit by the Doom as well as the Ancient Apparition ultimate. Most likely will end up dying. KSH, though, gets hit with a Burrow Strike. It's a double Burrow Strike. FX now coming in, doing some damage of his own. Ranso drops the wall. Is it enough? Well, it's enough to pick off both supports as BirdGang down 2 members, but they do snag the tower. Nice arrow. Connects with the Shadow Demon. Sigun looking for somebody to kill off JYU, maybe that person. He gets out in the nick of time. Another second or two, and he would have been toast. A delicious vegetarian toast. Now, for those of you recently tuning in and wondering, where's Febby? Where is QO? I don't know. They're missing. I know Febby has been benched for this week, but QO's absence is completely unknown to me. If you have no idea what you're watching, well, I'll go ahead and tell you. This is the KDL, the Korean Dota 2 League, featuring the top Dota 2 teams from Korea, as well as a few foreigners joined in for the fun, such as Team Zephyr, players such as Purge joining them, and Blitz. My name is Whiplash. I'm providing the on-site commentary. Just a little bit of solo casting action. And next week, I'll see if I can snag Yosin or another pro player that wants to assist me and give me a little bit more analytical insight to Korean Dodo. But still a darn even match across the board. I guess really the gold graph is starting to heavily favor 5&Q. That Mirana with the Hand of Midas has really just leaped ahead of the Slark. Literally leaps and bounds. I do have a mech on the Chen, as well as the Doombringer. And Slark, based on his item selection, the Black King Bar looks to be the next obvious pickup for him. I believe the Mirana already has her Lincoln Sphere and is going to build into a damage item next. Maybe we'll see a Black King Bar on her, but I would like to see some damage before that. Sand King, he's going to get spotted by this invisibility ward in the middle of the map. Okay, there he goes. Blinks in with the Epicenter ultimate. And Sandstorms as well. Despite the ward, it's not going to matter too much. Sky in a lot of trouble. Seigun doing work on him. The Hand of God comes out. Nice. Vortex from the now dead Darkseer, and Slark gets away with a very little amount of health left. Sky giving chase, throws out the arrow. It misses. Nice jukes. And KSH keeping him alive. Cynical only a few hundred gold away from that Agnum Scepter. That's still a 2-for-1 trade. 5&Q getting the better end of the trade. The Slark, if he fell, it would have certainly been in BirdGang's favor. But he escaped with a smidge of health left. Yeah. Look at that Mirana just really moving far ahead in terms of net worth. 12,500 gold. Slark completes his Black King Bar. But he's essentially neck and neck with the Tinker as far as overall net worth goes. Tinker most likely getting his Sheep Stick next. I'd be really surprised if it was anything else. Well, maybe I could see the Lincoln Sphere as a counter to the Doom ultimate. Sorry, Sky, no luck on that arrow. Ain't happening. All right, Doombringer also picking up a Blink Dagger of his own. Talk about mobility from 5&Q. Well, really mobility from both ends. The Blink Dagger does seem to be that flavor of the month item, especially after it got buffed and now has no mana cost associated with it. I am a very big fan of that change, personally. It makes that item so much more valuable on a lot of different heroes. Oh, Tenbird is able to dodge the ultimate from the AA. But what's he going to follow it up with? Lots of wards around the map, I suppose, but not too much else. All right, well, now we have a Shadow Blade for the Nature's Prophet. So starting the build into a few items he needs. But overall, pretty darn passive game. It's just a lot of split pushing from BirdGang and a lot of wannabe 5-man fights from 5 and Q. So it just becomes a cat and mouse game. Who can catch Q out of position? Uh-oh, Sky actually needs to be very careful. Yeah, he sees what's going on. Goes for the leap, but it's not enough. Interrupt on the TP. Down Sky goes. Well played, Segun and Darkseer Ranto. There is a smoking moving towards the center of the map. Okay, here we go. This is the initiation I'm looking for. Tenbird, he gets the Burrow Strike. It's good. He's going to fall, though, just doing a lot of damage to the remainder of 5 and Q's team. And look at that. There are 3 heroes that are under a quarter of health, but just barely managing to survive. Well, BirdGang, they trade essentially 2 for 1, not including the Mirana that's already managed to fall. They're lacking that big DPS boost they need in order to secure those extra kills. You know, like, what if they had Darkseer on their team? What if they had, you know, maybe a Timbersaw on their team instead of that Clockwork? I could imagine that going much better for the team fights. And Darkseer going to be a little bit harder to pick off as he grabs his Hood of Defiance, picking up extra magic resist and regeneration. Looking into the chat, QO left 5 and Q. I don't have a confirmation on that. I did know that there were some team issues, but I didn't know exactly. Well, regardless of that, into the fight at hand, Tenbird once again getting killed. Tries the blink away, or Burrow Strike away, but doesn't matter. And oh, JYU, 1 hit from death, and that is why you carry a Town Portal Scroll on you. So things like that are allowed to happen. It was almost fish food. And Segun has about 3,200 gold saved up. I have a feeling he's going to go for an Eye of Scotty, get those additional stats, get that slow. I'd be a little bit happier with a Basher, though. But it really is up to him. And he is playing the Slark in the position 1 role, which is why I found it a little bit weird for him to get a Shadow Blade. But the Black King Bar follow-up is absolutely fine. And the 5 and Q things are favoring their end ever so slightly. Okay, Sky trying to get out of there. This is why you need the Basher. Because Slark, he's able to get these jumps, and they're great, and the enemy basically, they're forced to teleport away. That's all they can do. And a Sheep Stick picked up for the Tinker. Should see a little bit of dewarding in the mid lane. BirdGang doing an excellent job at keeping their middle tower alive for such a long time. 30 minutes into the game, and there's still a tier 1 left. And MP Oh. Dying almost instantly. The rest of BirdGang forced to retreat. I mean, BirdGang, they have to split push. They don't want to do these team fights. They're just going to get torn apart. It looks like 5 and Q, this is their time to shine as they're moving towards the middle lane. Epicenter available. Ooh. Ranzo trying to force Sand King away. Yeah, that tower is dead. Down it goes. I really feel like 5 and Q as the game progresses on. Their lineup is simply as better for the late game. It's going to drag on for a while, I assume, because you have an Nature's Prophet, which is like an automatic plus 10 minutes on any match, or minus 10, depending on how you want to look at it. And the Tinker as well, excellent at pushing, and my god, is he annoying the counter push against. Ancient Apparition picking up some mana boots. I imagine that means he already has his scepter. Seigun continuing his farm. I am really happy that he decided to pick up the Skull Basher, considering that he's given up 2 kills now due to not having some type of interrupt or stun available. MP just continuing to prevent this farm from moving too far across the map. Unfortunately, the AA ult will miss the majority of those players. All of them, really. And Doombringer with the plate mail could be building into a Shiva's Guard. Also, an Assault Cuirass, I suppose, is possible. I imagine it's going to be the Shivas, however. MP marching away at the Ancient stack, getting some extra farm. Has a Staff of Wizardry. Be a Yule's, maybe even an Agnum Scepter. That would be awesome to see on the Tinker late game. But as we pass 30 minutes into the match between BirdGang and 5 and Q, currently 9-15. 5 and Q certainly looking like they're the favorites to win the matchup. But that's a Necrominion I just saw purchased on the Nature's Prophet. A little bit of Rat Dota action soon to happen. Oh, wow. The jumps, the jumps. It feels like a game of has-beens or could-haves. All these potential ganks, all these potential kills simply aren't happening. And it's making for somewhat of a passive Dota game. Passive Korean Dota, come on. I miss these teams just kind of punching each other to death, consistently dying over and over again. Looks like Roshan's going to be the only one dying. Force Staff picked up by the Tinker. Okay, so I guess that was the other main alternative item pickup. Tenbird knows what's up, but I think he's telling his team, guys, like, let's go kill them. I'm here. Everyone else is like, nah, we're pushing, dude. What are you up to? Well, okay, looks like Tenbird did decide to move in, but he's going to pay with his life. Down he goes. And a little bit of March of the Machines action, making this a war zone, essentially. There's double damage available on Seigun. Looking for a kill. If he gets the leap on Sky, that is one dead kitty. Oh, wow. Very nice jukes. Seigun, I mean, he wants these fights, but he's not getting them. What he will get, though, is a Roshan kill. I imagine that Seigun will pick up the Aegis. KSH, I suppose another viable alternative, but it's probably going to be on the Slark. Yep. Sagan goes ahead and picks it up. A Black King bar on the way for the Darkseer, soon to be in his possession. I would like to see 5NQ do a little bit more pushing. It is kind of hard, though, when you have to worry about Rat Dota. One of your lanes will always be pushed in. There's the level 3 Necro minion, and it's going to be an Assault Cuirass for the Doom. So no Shiva's Guard on his end. But over the last 2 Dota matches, I have seen considerably much more farming than I'm used to in a Korean game of Dota. Maybe they're watching some VODs from a few years ago from a certain other Asian country that I will not name. Comprised mostly of rice farmers. But yeah, I mean, late game, Doom, the Slark, they're going to be really hard to deal with. They can easily take the damage from the Tinker. Nature's Prophet, you know, still doesn't have a huge amount of farm. I guess he's kind of even with the Doom. But really, the only true damage dealer on BirdGang for the time being is going to be that Mirana. She's not one of these carries that can deal with both the Slark and the Doom. 5NQ. They're going to most likely pick off the middle tier 2 tower. And look at how annoying that March of the Machines is. Just, you have to deal with. And then Rat Dota in the top lane. The Mirana, JYU, both making sure that things go well for them. And down the tower goes. Rat Dota reigns supreme. BirdGang, they're still only slightly ahead as far as overall net worth goes. Experience-wise, definitely on 5NQ's side. Still, though, it's only about 5,000 experience. That's not too much. That's like, you know, maybe like two levels for like 2 heroes. Like 1 level per hero. Tenbird grabs the invisibility rune. Ooh, the Nature's Prophet. He could be the next target. But it's not going to be the case. All right, some action finally happening. Once again, Ranzo under fire. He's okay for the time being, but quite low on health. And now Sagan going to town. JYU, see you later. But Tenbird decides to move in. His ultimate hitting heroes that have BKB activated. Now Sagan moving in on the sky. Out comes the hand of God, but it's simply not doing too much. Away and away. One of their players goes. Gandhi. Not this time. Not this time. That's a 3-for-0. 5NQ now ahead 19-9. BirdGang is just not feeling it this game. But yeah, even though BirdGang, they're losing a lot of heroes in these team fights, they already kind of know they can't win in straight up fights, so they're doing their best to just try to push some towers and be as annoying as possible. And yeah, Sagan, despite being pretty tanky, actually, the Aegis has popped. FX low on health. He could maybe end up dying, but no. Tenbird pays the price for activating the Aegis. And it doesn't look like March of the Machines can work forever, as this middle tower, while even using up the Aegis, or the fortification. Sagan does get the last hit now. KSH under fire, but very nice disruption. Keeps him alive for the time being and blinks away. KSH! The Jukes pulling all the stops to stay alive. Without Shadow Demon, that would have been one dead Doom. So very well played by 5&Q. And overall, they are outplaying BirdGang. And the Slark decides to grab an Eye of Scotty. I guess the Skull Basher upgrade will come next. He's going to be very scary. 3, 1, and 6 with a ridiculous amount of farm under his belt. If we look at the rest of his stats, he still even has a buyback available. And the Rat Dota continues as Nature's Prophet moves towards the top lane. But really, I mean, if you want to extend the game on longer, that's fine. But against 5&Q's lineup, I mean, they just have heroes that scale very well into the late game. The Darkseer, the Doom, the Slark. Even Ancient Operation, if he gets his ultimate off, can still be pretty darn useful later on. Shadow Demon useful regardless of the stage of the game. Mirana just not as a hard carry. Uh-oh, JYU, he's getting netted, and Ice Blast to the face. See you later. So temporary haltage, at least somewhat, in the Rat Dota. MP will do it a little bit more before getting out of there. Sand King, nice blink forward, but gets hit. Actually, no, he doesn't get hit with the Sun. Segun now chasing after Gandhi, and with the Mirana ult, scares away 5&Q for the time being. But there's a 30-second window where BirdGang have no extra pushing power. They don't have that extra global damage with the Nature's Prophet. I would like to see 5&Q just go for a push. They clearly have the better team. Yes, March of the Machines is damn annoying. But at this point, they're tanking enough to kind of just ignore it and be like, fine, you can throw out that March of the Machine. I don't really care. Oh. Low health Slark. Kind of low. 10 Bird's the one to really be in trouble. But uh-oh. Darkseer actually ends up getting killed by the Mirana. Out of position. I imagine we'll be seeing a sheep stick next for the Nature's Prophet. Roshan just around the corner, minute and a half remaining before he is available. And after the Force Staff, Dagon 3 picked up by the tanker. I assume that BirdGang realizes, hey, we don't have a lot of DPS on our team. Why not just Dagon it up? They are pretty far behind. Desperate Dagon? I suppose that can be a thing now. Well, the Doom saved up to a pretty darn good amount of gold, almost up to 5K. Has the Assault Cuirass, has a gem. I could see a heart being next. Oh, trying the jump. Segun looking for blood. Doesn't find a single darn thing, unfortunately. And back to home he goes, at least for the next few seconds. Roshan just around the corner. I believe just under a minute left. Sky is starting to get pretty beefy, though. Manta Style will probably be the follow-up. Segun as well, having a very high amount of gold. I'd like to see him just go ahead. Upgrade that Basher. Ooh, 5&Q, they're smoked. Sky may not be so lucky. He does have a Lincoln Sphere that may give him just enough time. But instead of him being the target, the Nature's Prophet could turn out being the unlucky one. All right, he is going to be revealed, and Doom instantly on him, and the net follow-up. Unfortunately, JYU out of the picture. Sega now continuing the push in the bottom tower. Tenbird moving forward with the forward blink, but a Shadow Blade will prevent any follow-up. I think it may be time. Well, Ronta forcing Tenbird. Burrow striking away. And Nice gets hit. Tenbird's dead. He will not survive this. And down he goes. Dig on 4 picked up by the Tinker. The last of the Tier 2 towers will fall for BirdGang. Really, things are not looking too good for the Birds. 5 and Q, they have all the Tier 2 towers. Roshan's back online. There's a Heart of Tarask now. Just picked up from by the Doom. Deciding to trade out the gym for that. And I believe it's Roshan time. Rochambeau. Yeah, and 5 and Q, they should have an easy Roshan pick here. I can't really see BirdGang doing anything. There's the upgrade to the Skull Basher I was looking for. Slark almost 6 slotted at this point. I think he has space for 2 more items if he buys Boots of Travel and he gets rid of his Midas. Uh-oh, Cynical in a lot of trouble. Oh, rearm down he goes. So MP. Looks like the Dagon was worth the pickup. It's a fun item, it really is. On JYU, once again in trouble. Yeah, he's probably going to die. Nothing that can be done there. Nature's Prophet, besides being annoying, not accomplishing too much else. A nice few good pickoffs, though, from 5 and Q. Sagan in a lot of trouble, forced to use his ultimate. Oh, actually jumping on Sky. This may be a little bit of a mistake. In comes Sagan. Yeah, down he goes, forces the Aegis to get popped. Yeah, I think that was just a little bit of an overextension from Sagan. He should have gotten out of there while he had the chance. So Rat Dota, it's alive and well if you're from the Korean scene, I guess. There's the Dagon 5 for the Tinker. So kind of cool to see that item on him, though. Ooh, teleports and then cancels at the last second. I'm not sure if that was on. I think that was on purpose. Yeah, it was. So nice reactions from MP. I think he knew something was up and he just wanted to play it safe. Not a lot of heroes on the map. I like that, though. Look at where that creep is placed. Allowing him to easily get behind the trees. Do a little bit of split pushing. Overall being annoying. I really feel like 5 and Q could have pushed into their opposition a lot earlier. If it wasn't for the Tinker, if it wasn't for the Nature's Prophet. 2 heroes that are just making this lineup really annoying to push against. Sheepstick picked up by the Darkseer. And the Nature's Prophet. So evening out almost instantaneously. And Doom's just kind of chilling up there. Uh-oh, KSH. He's in a lot of trouble, but in comes Cynical. And a BirdGang. Oh. 10 bird falls once again. Doom hitting the Mirana and the net as well, but teleported home the safety. Sacrificing himself for the greater good, I suppose. KSH, he'll be okay. Just a little bit too tanky as Tinker does rotate towards the top where Nature's Prophet is currently. Darkseer is going to have to play it safe. 5 and Q, they have 2 dead. Or not, they don't have 2 dead, but BirdGang has 2 dead. It would be good for them to push. And indeed, that does look to be what they're doing. How annoying can the Tinker be? I suppose this is the question. Very annoying, I guess. Uh-oh, KSH actually sheeped, and will he end up falling? Yes, he does, but we do... Okay, I guess no one pays for it. So nice defense from BirdGang. Despite being in an unideal situation, they're still sticking in the match for now. Uh-oh, Sky, though. He's not so lucky, and 10 bird forced to Sandstorm away for the time being. Gandhi down he goes. Sagan up next. Gets a hit on the Sand King, but he will end up falling, giving up his win streak. And MP is going to town on Cynical. This is probably one dead Ancient Apparition, and indeed he falls. So a 3-4-2 trade. MP or MVP. Cynical telling his teammates, all right, guys, this is what happens. I'm in charge around here now that QO's not here. A smart force staff away. That's going to be a mid tower towards BirdGang, and you know what? BirdGang may actually be able to get a tower here. They're going to back away, but this game is anywhere from over. Anything but over. They also forced a buyback on the Slark. The split pushing just being as annoying as possible. Gold still favoring 5 and Q. Experience really favoring them. But BirdGang, they're holding on. They really are. And they did a decent job at defense. Oh, you don't see that every day. Ancient Apparition just picked up a heart. Well, I mean, he's 5 and 4 and has 10 assists, so I guess it's not out of this world. But still not something you'll see every day. Uh-oh, Sagan in much trouble. In comes KSH as well as Ranzo. MP will survive. But man, that was pretty darn scary. And Tinker going to just immediately port back. Be as annoying as possible. You can tell this guy knows how to rice. I believe that is a wholly persuaded creep to allow them to constantly split push. But man, if I can think of a more annoying strategy to face than this, I'll let you guys know. Maybe if there are a few wards involved with the Shadow Shaman or Venomancer. But wow, this game getting close to the 1 hour mark. As 14-29 as BirdGang treads behind 5 and Q. Using split pushing to keep themselves in the game and to no doubt frustrate 5 and Q. Roshan about 2 minutes away from respawning. Oh, Doom hits MP, but this Chen has done a pretty good job at porting doomed people home almost instantaneously. And Tinker, though, I can't say I'm a fan of him from a competitive standpoint. Except for that time where he was used by Liquid and kind of a port all around the map using a Beastmaster Hawk. That's when it's really cool to use. Oh, Sagan under fire. Can he be chained, stunned, and sheeped? In comes JYU. They force-staff him away. Sagan! He falls. In comes Dune. KSH, though, does a good job down. MP will fall. And, yep. You know what this means. BirdGang, they just lost their 2 pushers. They lost the Ricers. What can they do now to stop a push down bottom lane if the rest of 5 and Q joins their team? Even if it's just these 3, in a 3v3 scenario, I would give 5 and Q the advantage. The Doom is tanky. There's a heart on the Ancient Apparition. And Shadow Demon is, Shadow Demon. Anyone that gets low, he's going to disrupt you. Anyone that's being annoying is going to disrupt you, just like those Sand King illusions, which are quite deadly according to BirdGang. Or 5 and Q. No too good. I'm actually American. I'm not even Korean American. I'm just straight up American. Lived in Korea for a little bit over a year. Originally, I was broadcasting the StarCraft 2 Pro League before I made the switch over to DOTA2. My new love. I believe this is moving into potentially the longest game so far in the KDL. We may have had one match go over an hour, but I believe this is the longest one currently. But my oh my, this is quite the long match. And that's what happens when you have Rat Dota involved and a team that just slightly doesn't have enough pushing power. It comes down to more Necro Books for the FX, apparently. As a Force Staff, I guess Necro Minion, certainly not a bad follow-up. All right, Sagan and KSH slowly hacking away at Roshan, keeping him stunned. So eventually he will fall. And I mean, really, BirdGang, they've been behind for, I'd say, the majority of this match. And by majority, I mean 45 darn minutes. The third death of Roshan providing the cheese, and Cynical deciding to pick that up. And I believe Doom actually has the Aegis. All right, 5 and Q. They're all heading towards the middle lane. I think maybe they're going to decide to go for a push. They pretty much have all the items they could possibly need. Abyssal Blade picked up by the tanker. And despite the annoyance of March of the Machines, there we go. Net on KSH actually, but yeah, that tower's going to most likely fall, but in comes Sand King, force staffing away the Doombringer, barely staying alive, but there he is, zapped to death. Dagon to the face, and there's already a buyback on the Darkseer. KSH could be in a lot of trouble though. In comes Rento trying to be a little bit annoying against MP. Now KSH, Doom on MP, down he falls. There are 2 buybacks available, but this team fight, after the buyback, it's going to the way of 5 and Q, forcing out the fortification. A leap misses, not hitting Sky. And look at that, Rat Dota from JYU as he attempts to do some damage in the top lane, but Doombringer comes, gets a stomp. We will not see the results of that for the time being, but Rento, he needs to get away there. He's in a lot of trouble, but not as much trouble as Sky is in, as he ends up giving up his life. And a buyback as well. And Tenbird throughout this match showing balls of steel, not afraid to burrow strike and blink. Oh, Tenbird, he could have blinked away. He decides to play it easy. I'm actually surprised that Tenbird did not die there. So all in all, 5-Q. They managed to get a middle racks, which means we only have about 30 minutes left of the game before it ends. It'll take another 15 minutes for each other lane. Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. It'll probably end within 10 minutes. Most heroes up to level 25. The Cheese now on the Doom. And Slark picking up Boots of Travel. And he gets the Cheese. Okay. What a long match, though. As we pass 61 minutes, 17-35 with BirdGang trailing behind 5-Q, as per usual. Doom, though, picks up a sheep. Wow. Talk about a utility Doom. He also has a heart. I can't see him falling anytime soon. All right, the top tower under attack by 5-Q. BirdGang. I don't know if they have what it takes to really defend this. And the huge ice ball not managing to hit too much. Down goes the ultimate from Ranto, but it doesn't really do too much. KSH stuck in the trees and under a lot of trouble. Tenbird, he's trying to get his ultimate off, but not a chance as Sagan just goes to work on him. Down the one racks goes, the second one to follow shortly. And with 4 barracks down, I think this is going to be lights out for BirdGang. Sarat Dodo, while it can extend the match by quite a long time when it comes to these actual team fights, it doesn't cut it. And nice DPS. Ooh, the Vortex is good. Manages to do a lot of damage. Down goes the Chen. And the final tier 3 tower looks to be underway, under siege. But man, BirdGang, I have to give it to them. They made this game as grueling and brutal as possible for 5-Q. They really did. And they still don't want to give it up. As I read through the Twitch chat, what's my favorite hero? Aw, man, I'm a Timbersaw. I have played over 100 games alone with Timbersaw. He was my worst hero, and then he became my best. Also a big fan of the Bounty Hunter and the Invoker. Slark, also a fun hero, and Terrorblade, I'd say, is my second favorite after the Timbersaw. He was my favorite Dota 1 hero back when I played Dota 1, you know, years and years ago, before playing some Han and StarCraft 2. Way back in the day. But yeah, I mean, the game is essentially over. 5-Q, they just have to push down the final tower. BirdGang being extremely stubborn and refusing to give up. March of the Machines galore. I have to say that Korean Dota players do tend to turn this into a bit of an RTS game. They just build as many units as possible, and the buildings never die. And they build as many units as possible, and the buildings never die. All right, MP. Come on, man. Just let the tower fall. Let's move into the next game. I think we've pretty much seen everything we need to here. Even trying to convert one of those creeps, but down it falls. The last fortification available for BirdGang. Forces a BKB. But really, 5-Q. They can go in. They can take these towers. There's nothing stopping them except a very annoying Tinker. God, I hope MP never plays Tinker again because the game will never end. Still, though, I mean, BirdGang, they know how to extend a game if they want to. I'll never underestimate them in that department ever again. That's for darn sure. Do I prefer Dota or StarCraft 2? I certainly enjoy Dota 2 a lot more than StarCraft 2 right now, despite my background in StarCraft 2. Well, all right, enough about me. Let's go ahead, break down that last team fight. A few buybacks, deaths on the Nature's Prophet as well. The Chen falls, followed by the Sand King. That's going to be a good game. No coming back from this. BirdGang, they did their best to extend the series as long as possible, but the GG is called. Finally, after over 65 minutes, we have a victor. 5-Q reigns supreme over BirdGang. I'm sure all of their players want to go ahead and take a break. I know that look at their players. They're thinking, oh my God, it's over. It's finally over. I can't believe it. Tenber he's giving no Fs. He really isn't. So 5-Q with a victory in the first.